Hello again. Alright, so in the last bit we did the doorway. In this bit we're going to do the other bits. And then we're going to start assembling it and making stuff from it. Generally having fun, you know. We've also got a few little detail areas to do if you want. It's up to you. Okay, now the next part we're going to be doing is this one. Let's have a look and see how... Yep, it's those middle polygons here. Now the problem with this is, of course, that we can't really just do it from these middle polygons. We need it to fit in with these fellas here. So that's exactly what I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to take this, and first of all, let's get rid of the bits that need to be got rid of. I'm in the mood for a nice bit of music at the moment. What I'm going to do is temporarily attach all these fellows together as well. Because I really don't want to put these together in reality, so because they're modular. Let's make a copy over here. Now then, let's see, are these overlapping yet? Yes, they are. Okay, so we're going to attach that, and that, like so. Now I'm going to do a quick weld just to get rid of excess detail, just really for my benefit as much as anything. I've got to be careful here, you see, because it's very easy to bring your threshold down too much, and then I'll lose a shed ton of detail. Okay, that should do it. What I'm going to do is grab here and just collapse, because I know there's two verts there really. And I'm going to do the same over here. And here. Okay, now I only really need one area of this. So what I'm going to do is obviously do them all and then just cut it in half. So grab here, and I'm going to loop, bridge. Now the thing about this is it's actually stuck in, like, you know, the brick lines and everything as well. Control I, delete. Okay, and now this leaves me with this part, which needs a name. Did I name this part in the front? Object. No, I didn't. Entryway 01. And this is middle wall piece 01. Anyone who's kind of watched the prefabricated sci-fi docs will probably have a rough idea of kind of how this works. It's not especially a difficult concept in kind of building this kind of thing. The idea is that we build lots of props, and then using the lots of props we're able to build lots and lots of things. It's easy and fun. Okay, let's just affect pivot only and center. As you see, I can now just slide this into there, which is where it's supposed to go. Okay, and as you see, the top brick parts are already in place anyway. Unfortunately, in a way, because really it would be helpful to separate and break these things up. However, there are ways I can get around that if I have to. And one of which is going to be just, you know, literally chopping this up into small parts. So let's have a look. Connect. Tick. Now the problem with this is that, like I say, we already have these parts in existence. So if I was to now do the extrude back, it's extruding back not just itself, but the parts that were already extruded. And this is going to make it messy. We might well get crossovers and things like that. I mean, if we look in here, you can see what it's doing. So you've got to be very, very wary of what you're doing here. There we go. I mean, don't get me wrong, it'll work. It's just you really want to be kind of as cautious as you can with it. I think before I actually do this, I want to just break out some of these parts here. I've said it before, it's entirely up to you. You can make this as complex or non-complex as you decide, to be honest. So, okay, so I'm going to extrude it back in and tick, and then chamfer. Not that much though. Nearly there. A bit more. That should do it. Okay, so that's how we kind of repair this situation a little bit. I mean, if you look very, very closely, it's not as tidy as the other pieces, but it'll do. It really will. It'll do. Alright. And obviously what we can do is duplicate that around the side. We can also add ornamental parts to this if we want to, but that's kind of sub-props. So, first of all, let's duplicate this part, and then we can look at things like sub-props. So, firstly, I'm going to just spin it round just 180 degrees. And then I'm going to make sure I take the correct piece. I'll just get my edges to line up. There we go. It's very easy to end up with holes inside your model otherwise. And there you go. I mean, you probably think to yourself, well, that looks kind of done. Yeah, that's cool. We can now add props to it though, which is kind of an important part of it. Okay, so what props can we add into this for set dressing? Because I mean, this is the basic set. Well, let's look at what we get in real buildings. And for real buildings, we get things like clasps. We get things like, well, basically things that hold the structure together, because especially with older stonework structures, they tend to need a lot of support areas to hold them together. I might also branch out and build a few corridors and things if I can, if I've got the time. We shall see, we shall see. Now then, what have we got here? Well, thankfully, using the power of AutoGrid, I'm going to pull out a shape just here. Like so. And in fact, rather than build it here, I'll build it up here. Okay, just so it goes over the top of this. Convert to editable poly. And this is going to be prop object brace 01. Because that's what it's here for, it's just to brace it. Okay, and we now know that this is the right size, so I'm just going to pull it out over here. And I want to basically build some parts onto it. So what I'm going to do is build a single object first to start us off. And I do this in most of my tutorials, but 3ds Max 11's made it somewhat easier since they put object paint in. God bless them. And we want rivet heads. That's about the simplest thing you can use. So again, AutoGrid, just pull it out from here. Hemisphere it to 0.5. Okay, that way it's only that size. Segments, we don't want many. The less segments, the better, in fact. And you can even turn, stop it being smooth if you want. But that's the size we want, just about there. Maybe another couple of segments, no more than 10. Just remember, obviously, for game model, you're going to want less segments rather than more. In fact, let's go with less, just for the sheer jolliness of using less polygons. Convert to editable polygon, and here we shall now load up the object paint tool, which always gives me some fun because I always kind of forget how it works and end up looking a bit silly. Okay, so here we are. Now over here, this is where you toggle object paint mode. This is the one where you edit the object list, so the ones that you're going to paint onto things. So I'm going to pick this, and basically it allows you to paint by priority. You can also choose what you're going to paint onto. So you can designate a single object to paint onto, you can just paint on everything. Okay, as you see, I'm now painting the entire entryway because I selected the wrong piece. That was actually pretty funny, to be honest. Just turn that off, go back into here, remove that, and instead just add teeny tiny rivet tool thing. And now go into place and paint. And it literally allows you to draw like this. Same way as the old placement tool, but we've got slightly more options. We can kind of align stuff and rotate stuff and do all sorts of funky things like that. This isn't necessarily supposed to be dead on straight, so don't worry too much if you're not getting it straight. You want it to have a bit of character. But you don't want it to have wonky character, if you know what I mean. Easiest thing to do in this case is just keep interpolating. The interesting thing about this is, however, that not only can you draw your rivets onto this, but you can draw them onto this as well, or anything else you're working on. So, whereas in the past, for example, with the Venerable Dreadnought, when we were drawing detail on, you have to, stop and go back and then select the next part you're drawing detail on, and so on and so forth. With this one, you don't have to. Right, so here's our bolts, and we can just, do this. Being careful not to attach the wrong bit, obviously. What's nice is we can use the same bit and just scale it up in just a moment as well. This is yet another item I'll probably forget to add when I'm telling people about the what the tutorial's about. Okay, so painting again, and like I say, we can, increase whatever we want. We can rotate it, or scatter it. I think this is. Oh God, stop that. Here we are, scale. So let's say I want to make it considerably larger. You can, which I quite like. Like I say, this is easy with my Wacom tablet. However, I've misplaced the pen, and it's probably under a pile of paperwork somewhere, and I don't really want to look for it at the moment, because I'm just bone idle. Okay, so this gives us this tool anyway. So let's just plop that back against there. Okay. And we can add some more ornamentation or some shutters or something up here if you want to as well. We could also add some braces down here, or just about anything else you want really. We can even just drag this across. Now at the minute it's a little bit too big. So what size do I need to make this? Let's have a look. Well, I should do with ending it just over there actually, so rather than messing around making a new one, which is what everyone would probably think of first, Let's do a connect. And bring that to about there. Cap that end off. We can now, stuff that in there as well. Maybe just there like that. And then twist it around 90 degrees. As you see, we're kind of creating all the different sized ones now, depending on what we need. So let's bring that along to there. It's nearly the right size anyway, so let's just change the pattern a little bit as well. Not sure I want those middle bits actually. They kind of detract a bit, Probably take them off on the top one as well. Get it so it's just going past there. And then I can just click and drag like so. And then I can just border it and cap. See, lovely and easy. Just sits in like that. Let's have a look. Oh look, I created 2 copies. Let's get rid of that one. I don't like these middle things at all actually. Those look silly. There we go. Don't really like that one either. And I can make it a bit thinner. Just by dragging it up like that. There, that looks better. We'll do the same on this side, I think. Doesn't need to be that wide. I thought it didn't need to be that wide, to be honest. There, that looks much better. Now this top part here. Again, get rid of these gams that I don't need. There we are. Okay. Now this one I'm going to twist around a little bit. So just 180 degrees. And just get it in the right place. There we go. Get rid of that bottom one. It's not working for me. Don't know about you. Let's have a look over here. Shift and drag. Turn off angle snap. Problem with this one is, you see, it's going to intersect that point there, which I really don't want. Now then, I can bring these right up, like so, which will make a bit of a difference. And then just bring that down into there. Now the good thing is, you see, because these aren't actually attached, these are just separate elements, I actually have a lot more maneuverability available to me than I would otherwise. These are basically like bolts where it's been literally smashed into the surface of this thing. Okay, now let's have a look over here. So what I can do is grab here. Pop that there. Delete those. As you see, this piece here would need to be trimmed. I think it might be easier just killing this part off completely. And then grab both these at once. Do that. Then shift and drag and move those to there. Let's see how that looked. Not bad, although I think possibly we could do with dragging these parts down a little more just here. Mainly just so it lines up with that one though. And then I can just narrow it a bit up here. So I'll just pin these right up. There we go. There, that's slightly better. And then that will fit on there, like so. Giving us the buttressing there. Okay. Ooh, bit of a stretch. Okay, so that gives us these three types. Now then, this one is tapering a little. To be honest, it's not tapering a lot, but I mean, I can see it. I don't know if you can. So let's just first of all kill this. And then I want to de-taper this a little. That's better, although I'm going to have to now move these rivets if they're overlapping. Let's have a look. No, they're fine. Alright then, so as you can see, we now have these various segments here that we can use for this. So let's pull them out. And these are bracings. So I'll just go into my manage layers and make a new layer called bracing. Like that. Okay, now let's do what I was going to do before as well. I think I'll pause before I do, and then I'm going to make a couple of corridors just so that we can expand this if we need to, or if you ever want to. That way it gives you slightly more scope for what you can and can't do with this. Okay, so I'll see you in the next bit.